What is up and what is up? Welcome in, everyone. My name is Bryce Koon, and obviously we are live here on a Friday night. Had to get this show in. Hurricane Francine messed up a little bit of our plans for Georgia Tech content and college football content here on the Crowded Booth throughout the week. But we're live from a hotel room in Columbia, South Carolina, getting ready for tomorrow's Columbia, or I should say college game day down here in Columbia, getting ready for tomorrow's. Did you fellas hear that? Did you hear that? Getting ready for tomorrow's game between LSU and South Carolina. But Georgia Tech's got a big game, obviously, on tap as they get ready for VMI. Going to be a rainy one. And this show's not going to be super long. This is really just kind of some thoughts, some public thoughts on what it should look like for Georgia Tech on Saturday night, what it should look like. Papa Goat said, what is up with the lighting? Yeah, man, we're literally in a hotel room. Undisclosed hotel room there, Papa Goat. Not going to spoil that. We're in a hotel room. But you know what? We're going to have Don't Think It'll Rain. Give us those deep. Okay, yeah, we're not going to say that out loud. Almost got me there, Maxwell. VMI. This is a game that's going to be interesting. I do want to get to this TriStar new member. Become a new member. Just hit join. Support the show any way you can. TriStar doing that. We appreciate you, TriStar. But let's talk real quick about this game. I don't really even want to focus on VMI. I mean, this is the type of game, and let's just get this out of the way. This is the type of game where when you're sitting there on a Saturday afternoon and you're scrolling through the TV schedule and you find this game on ACC Network Extra or whatever that might be, and you find this contest, flat out, you just need to dominate. Flat out, you just need to go out there. You need to put up 40 or 50. Your defense needs to, beat and take and and sitting in a Motel 6 and 5 points. No, we're a little bit better than that. Here, you know what? I'll just put like this. I was saying I hate this microphone because it is very finicky. I need to get a new cord. This is my travel mic. Anyways, like we were saying, you need to go put up 40 or 50. You need to go. Honestly, this game needs to be completely in control by halftime. This game needs to be completely, in terms of the scoreboard, done with, over with by the time this team heads into the locker room. Now, the messaging will be whatever it is needs to be at halftime. Hey, it's a brand new score. It's a brand new, different kind of aspect to this game. But I wanted to kind of add in here because I really do think this is a game where if Georgia Tech is different, frustrating loss last week. If Georgia Tech's different, though, this is a game you go out and you win 51-10. I mean, you just absolutely dominated. Papa Goat says right here, this is a good comment. He goes, "We have visitors. I'd like to see 35-0 at half and at least 35K in the stands." Papa Goat, I will say this. I've been very disappointed in the reaction from some of the fans about, the potential crowd of, well, we're not going to show up now. Well, that's the exact problem. I tweeted this from the Crowded Booth account. That's the exact problem with a portion of the Georgia Tech fan base is just this, well, no, we're not going to show up. No, this product is way better. This product is exciting. You didn't get the result that you wanted last week, but you were able to do some things as a program and take some steps that maybe it can help you in the long run. So when we talk about this game, this will show you the difference in a program. And you might say, well, Bryce, what can you really take away? Well, you can take away, you go out there in the field and you dominate. You can take away, that this is a game where you leave no stone unturned. Haynes King goes off. Jamal Haynes. I mean, you rest some guys up that are banged up. Your defense plays lights out. You figure out your defensive line rotation. You figure out the linebacker position. The safeties, the corners, everyone gets healthy. And you win this game well in hand, and you head into, obviously, your next game fully healthy, because obviously you have the bye week after that. You head into the next game fully healthy. You head into the next contest being able just to say, okay, we're healthy, we dominated an opponent, and now we have a situation where now we can sit here and say, okay, we feel better about the things. We obviously, the competition was less than when we faced against Syracuse, a week ago, but you work some ways and things out. The best way to make up for that loss is to go out and dominate and just be able to, I don't want to use the word cruise, but be able to, I would just say, have it well in hand. And Papa Goat points this out, and I'm slipped it here. I've had the bye weeks messed up. We have Louisville, and then obviously then the bye week. That's very true. He also says one loss early in the season doesn't define what happens the rest of the way. We're not Bama or OSU. We're not beating everybody we play by 20 and going undefeated. Completely true. And this is part of the thing too. We talked about this in the postgame show last Saturday after Tech lost to Syracuse. Maybe Syracuse is a pretty good football team. I tend to think that Kyle McCord's a pretty good quarterback. I tend to think that Fran Brown, the antics aside or whatever people want to say about it, he had that team prepared and they played well. And just for one day, they played better than you did. And I think the teams are about even, and I said that. But it's not the end of the world. This isn't let's fire Brent Key. This is the wrong hire. This isn't a lot of some of the reaction we've seen within our Discord or within other places. It isn't that. Here's what I say about it is here's a chance to rectify and you can still learn some things. If this team goes out and dominates, and I'm not saying overlooks, I'm not saying plays around with, I'm saying goes out there and dominates VMI, who is not a very good SoCon team. I mean, I just say that, call it what it is. I spent 3 years in the SoCon. VMI is not one of the top 4 or 5 teams. If that was a Samford, a Mercer, a Chattanooga, then you're like, okay, they got some guys that can play at the next level. VMI does not have that. So I think that you go out and dominate, you go out and take care of business, and you leave with a big win. And you get ready for the next game, which is going to be obviously a massive one. Papa Go or Nancy says, appreciate you tuning in, Nancy. And Nancy, I got to get back to your message. He had them fired up. No doubt he did. Papa Goat says, but it is encouraging for us to play our worst game and lose by 3 years ago. That game was 78-0. And Jeff Sims throws 6 interceptions. Yeah, I mean, you didn't. I mean, like, I don't know how you feel about this, Papa Goat, but last week you got bullied for 3 quarters. That's what I would call it. Like, you got bullied for 3 quarters and you still somehow had a chance. So one of the biggest lessons I think we learned last week is, and when something goes bad, it doesn't all just melt and fall apart. That's one of the biggest things. And so there's a notch in the belt of, I know that moral victories don't exist for a lot of people in this fan base, but that is something that is way better. Now, I will also add the next notch in the belt is going out and dominating team that should have no business being on the field with you. That's what this game is. That's what it is. So I think that this VMI game could tell you a lot in terms of the mental psyche of the team. It could tell you a lot in terms of what you want to accomplish going forward, but it also could just straight up just tell you, hey, they're not letting 1 week define the rest of them. The fan base might, but luckily the fan base doesn't play on the field. Luckily that comes down to who's in the white jerseys playing on Saturday. So I think this is something where, I don't care about covering a spread. I don't all that kind of stuff. I just think this is a game where you can turn around, you can go get a big win, get a confident win, get guys a lot of run. You get Zach Pyron, not just 1 or 2 series where he's handing the ball off, but he has multiple opportunities to develop his game. That's what these games you want them to be. That's why, and for some of the elite programs in college football, that's why you can sit here and you can say, okay, so-and-so has developmental reps in a game. Yeah, it might be in a blowout, but they have experience getting on the field and doing that. Now, I know Pyron had that, but that was his freshman year. That's 2 years ago at this point. Now you have a chance to go get a guy some experience and just build that up within him in terms of, hey, he can see how has his game developed to now into year 3, because he really hasn't had that opportunity. That's something I really want to see in this ball game. I want to see the stable of running backs. I want to see what Anthony Carey looks like with a ton of carries, no pun intended. I want to see what this wide receiver room in terms of depth can really do. Some of the younger guys in that room. I really like the way they've utilized Bailey Stockton. Let's see what he can do in the second, third, and fourth quarter of this game. And then defensively, I will add this. Defensively, you have a situation to where You had some guys get banged up last week. You need to get those guys healthy. You need to be able to you need to be able to right some wrongs that you had last week, play more fundamentally sound football, get some things on tape that can give you confidence heading into Louisville. So I really want to see those things in this game. There's not necessarily a lot that you can say, okay, well, we did this against VMI and we should be able to do this against Louisville. No, it's not that. It's more of reestablishing, saying, not letting what happened last week dictate what happens over the next couple weeks, because that's what we've seen from Georgia Tech in the past. 1 week or one game could unravel things. One bad day could unravel for a next week or two. I don't think that's the identity of this team. I really don't. I think that last Saturday, and I think I was one of the more reserved, you know, takes, I would say, of the weekend of like, yeah, I mean, they just came out and beat you. I mean, I I don't think losing at Syracuse last week is indicative of someone being the wrong hire or having the wrong mindset. Just think they came out, they got a pretty good football team. And two, you kind of have to look at them like they probably feel in Syracuse like Georgia Tech did last year. This rejuvenation of sorts of life being pumped back into the football program. And so hats off to them. Like they played a good game. And it just is what it is. It just is what it is. So it's I'm not overly concerned with that. I think this is a game that they should win handily. I mean, I 51-13. I mean, put up some points. Like put up some points. Maxwell says if Buster doesn't open the playbook this game, I will lose my mind. Maybe. I mean, how much do you really want to open up the playbook? Of course, you'd like to see some different things. And I'll kind of end my take with that. And Papa Go says I'd be okay with him not opening the playbook. That's that could also be a case. Nancy says need to get 2 to 3 deep plays. Here's the thing, and I said this in the kind of season preview, or what can Haynes King do to take the next step? The worry for me was if you toned down his aggressiveness in the passing game, does that limit what he can do as a guy who is, for lack of better words, a gunslinger at times? When you take that away, does it take away the positive as well? So do you have to live and die with the bad and the good of what Haynes King can be at times? Maybe so. It's been 3 games. I think a lot of it also comes with what the defense dictates of what you want to do. So that'll be something where maybe I'm in the middle of what Maxwell and Papa Goat are saying there is I wouldn't mind seeing some big time passing plays. I wouldn't mind seeing, some explosive plays down the field. But this is not a game where you obviously put everything on tape. You should be able to, win with a pretty vanilla play calling. Now, the problem is that that's what you would like to have in a week 0 game or a week 1 game. It comes essentially in the 4th game of the season, week 3 for Georgia Tech. And now you kind of have to mess around and figure out how you want to go with that. So it's a peculiar spot to have this game in, I think, especially with how Georgia Tech has played the first 3 weeks. Kind of been run heavy. We're just going to bully you. It didn't work last week. I mean, they could probably just run the ball and win this game, 38-10, and they're fine. But from a fan base perspective, we'd be like, okay, we still don't really know what this explosive passing game looks like yet in 2024. We think it can be what it is, but we haven't really seen some of those things as well. Maxwell says, I feel like if he's going to, if he's going to, it needs to be this game, so then getting game reps or something besides runs and real game situations against a lesser opponent. I mean, what would, and I guess this is a good question, what would the level of disappointment be? Like if Georgia Tech goes out there and runs the football, controls the clock, and it's kind of like a situation where they're not really lighting up the scoreboard, and it's a 38-7 final. What's the mood? I mean, you're like, okay, yeah, like we should have won that, but I wanted to see X, Y, and Z. I mean, that may be the sentiment from some people, but I don't know. Papa Goat says, wow, that Haynes King has been our best quarterback in almost 15 years. Yeah, it's crazy. Maybe that's indicative a little bit of the scheme you ran. I mean, in terms of the triple option, Justin Thomas was pretty dang good. But I think to your point, Papa Goat, they're different ends of the spectrum, would we say. But for what you did, I mean, Justin Thomas was a dude. He's one of my favorite players of all time. Nancy says need the defense to get turnovers too, get going on those. Yeah, I mean, it's something that the defense has capitalized on the past couple of years, right? They've been overly dependent on. I would say 2 years ago when Key took over as an interim, they were very dependent on those. They were dependent on it last year at times. You have to have it. It shouldn't be the entire game plan. I think this defense is improved, but I think that they also, like you said, they need to create some more chaos. Here's an opportunity to do that. Maxwell says, I wouldn't be pissed, he says, but it would be kind of annoying, LOL. And then TD Jake says, Josh Nesbitt supremacy. Papa Goat's putting a line on it. He goes, he wants to see at least 4 sacks. Papa Goat, anyone in particular that you want to see him from? Yeah, let's talk about the defense here real quick. I mean, defensively, I just want to see guys get healthy. I mean, I just don't think you can roll into Louisville. I don't think you can roll even into Duke. I mean, into some of these ACC games with it would just be treacherous territory to roll in there not 110% healthy. I don't want to see, a Clayton Powell-Lee injury. I don't want to see, LaMiles Brooks, who I think was very, very good the first 2 games. And then obviously kind of had the injury. And, it was what it was in the week 3 contest. But I love the way they used him in week 1. I absolutely loved it. Tay Seymour, I want to see him in that role that he's been in, maybe not thrust into the starting safety role quite yet. And then Amari Harvey, like one of the biggest challenge things I loved about him the first 2 weeks of the season, uber aggressive, played up in receivers' faces. We didn't really see a lot of that, in this game, in that game against Syracuse. So playing aggressive, dictating what happens to the offense. The biggest takeaway I had of last week, and maybe this kind of is what it is, and I'll get to this comment real quick. Papa says, I need to see Romello come on the scene. Last week, the first 2 weeks, it felt like Georgia Tech's defense dictated what the opposing offense could do and would do. Last week, it felt like that the pendulum swung on that. So the pendulum swung to when now Syracuse, the opposing offense, dictates things. This is a game where VMI should never dictate what you do. You should dictate for the entire 60 minutes. And it should be one where you gain confidence, you get guys playing time, and you figure out too, because this is something too. I don't know Tyler Santucci's exact science of how he would like this to be, but I do know that, talking to many different people on many different staffs, the idea is to have, obviously you want a starting 11 on defense, but you really want to get to like 18, 19, let's just go 22 guys straight up 2 deep where you feel comfortable. There's not a massive drop off. Here's that type of opportunity to build that depth. So I think it'll be very interesting to kind of see how that rolls on Saturday afternoon. We will be live tomorrow post-game with a reaction show. So come hang out with us. We'll get that instant reaction show. And then probably late into Saturday evening, if you just want to talk college football, myself and Will Manis will probably be live tomorrow night. I got to fly out. I got to fly out super early on Sunday morning out of here. But we'll play that by ear. If not, obviously, you know where to find us live on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And talking college football. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you head over to Twitter and X and find us over there. Papa with one last comment. He goes, I'm glad you said that. I thought the defense actually played pretty well the first 2 games. I think it's there, but Q's was just better. Yeah, I just think they were just better that day. You don't like it, of course, but it just happened. And I just think a lot of people just looked at Syracuse and were probably surprised. Like I wasn't necessarily surprised because I thought Kyle McCord was a good quarterback. 300 yards and 3 tutties in the first half. I don't know if anyone had that on their bingo card heading into this game, but it is what it is, and it happens. So Georgia Tech can right the ship. They can get right back on it. And Nancy says Warren Burrell too. Yes, would love to see continued development out of Warren Burrell. Been nice on special teams. Continue to be that. And Rodney Shelley as well. Let's throw his name in there. I really like the play of Rodney Shelley. I like what he is as a player. I think he's super athletic. I think he's a high floor type of player with a nice ceiling. And you get to see in a game like this where you can really unleash him to his full capabilities as well. Hey, we appreciate you watching. Make sure you stay tuned all week. We talk college football. It's a lot of fun. And my name is Bryce Koon, Georgia Tech Talk Show. We'll catch you next time. See you later.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The crowded booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.